$57. So, good afternoon, everyone. Very good afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
A very good afternoon, and welcome back to this online artificial intelligence classes. We have been talking about various inference mechanisms for the last 6 to 7 classes. And today, what is that we do in the class is just will just try to understand the entire resolution process through a small example. So the class will be very simple and it will be completed within the stipulated time. And just you will just see what exactly is resolution, what are the steps involved in this resolution. So three different steps are involved in this resolution process in general. So the first step is how do you convert the statements into first order logic. That is what we have done in the earlier classes. The second step is how do you convert this first order logic into clause form. This is what we have done yesterday. And the third step is how do you apply this resolution procedure. The same resolution procedure that we are going to study today was already studied in discrete mathematics. So if you wish to prove something, you need to take the negation of what you wish to prove, and we just try to proceed. That is called as resolution mechanism. And many textbooks says it is a resolution with refutation. Like whatever you wish to prove, you take the negation of that and just try to proceed. That is called as a resolution process. And yesterday you have asked me the material. I am in the process of just finalizing the material today or tomorrow. Just I will send an email for all the students. That's what in the yesterday class. So all these three steps are very important. Like many times people are asking you to apply resolution mechanism for a given set of statements. Many times this question is getting asked. The second thing is, second question many times they are asking is, how do you convert the following statements into first order logic? Many times, number of times this question is asked for 8 marks. The other questions they are asking from this particular topic that we are discussing for 6 to 7 classes is, how do you convert the first order logic into clause form? So many times this question is asked more than 8 marks. So obviously they are giving it a combination with 12 and 4 or something like that. So how do you convert this first order logic into clause form is very important. And then how do you apply the resolution? Resolution algorithm is very simple. See, I wish to prove something was there, like you have something called as P to Q. You have something called as P, and you have something called as negation of R. So from this, if you see this, you can easily tell us you will get something called as this as your inference. So when you wish to prove this inference, what is that the first thing in resolution we do is we will take the negation of this part. Like we will take negation of Q and R. We will have the statement that is combined to this part, and then we'll just to proceed. We'll see what exactly is this. So the agenda of this class is how do you understand the resolution process by using a simple symbols, and then we'll apply this resolution process for whatever some examples that we have done in the earlier classes. So it's very simple. Like we are going to learn about the third step in this resolution process. The first steps, the first thing is how do you convert it into first order logic. And how do you convert the first order logic into class form? This is what we have seen in the last two classes. The first two steps are understood, but the second step needs more discussion. That is the reason I have kept the second step. How do you convert this first order logic into class form? In the again, I kept in the slides. So this is what the example that we are discussing for the last three classes. I have changed the question here. So we have converted these statements into first order logic, and in this class we have to convert this first order logic into class form. Before converting all these things into class form, we will understand what exactly is a class form and how do you apply this resolution algorithm for a given set of symbols, and then we'll get back to this. So this is what we have done. We have written all these statements in the class. Yesterday class we have done this part. So this is how do you these are the steps to convert first order logic into class form. This is what I have prepared. So I have set of steps that I have taken from your example. Just a minute. This is what you have in the textbook. Why you need to have a class form? Why the textbook says what for this class form is, why you need to convert this first order logic into class form. If you have something called as this in the first order logic, the given output is what you get in the class form. In your class form, if you remember yesterday, there is no quantifiers that will be there. There is no need that you have to keep all these quantifiers, and you have to remove this implication by using negation of P or Q. So then this implication is removed here, and the quantifiers are removed here. There is an existential quantifier here. Whenever existential quantifier is there, we will replace the value here. Whenever z is there, we will take a specific instance. So you can take it as z1 because z1 is an instance. Particularly, he is talking about for existential of z. So all these existential quantifiers and universal quantifiers will be removed, and this is the outcome of your class form. This is what your class form says. So just we'll go through the steps that we have done yesterday, and then we'll get back to what exactly the resolution. Yesterday when we are talking about a class form, I said you need to remove implication. This is what the first step is. Whenever you have an implication, this has to be removed. So we will use this formula. Obviously most of the people know this formula, like whenever A implies B is there, this is what the equivalent expression. So obviously whenever implication is there, I will use this part. So if you have an expression like this, so you apply this rule for this expression, you will get this expression. This is what it is. So just you apply a negation of a Roman this. So after the next step, what that we do is we just try to minimize the scope of negation. So we will apply negation of Roman x r not know of x comma Marcus and something like that. So this is what the first step is. The first step is implicit, and most of the people can easily understand. This is the nomenclature that you have in the textbook. That is the reason I have come with a different PowerPoint slides. So the second step that I said, it is better to minimize the scope of your not or this both of them can be used. So here this not is applied for the entire set. It is better to minimize this scope of this applying this. So this is what the second step is. It is better to reduce the scope of this not operator to a single term. So I have taken the nomenclature from the textbook so that you will understand better. So this is when you apply a not, what will happen. When you apply a not, what will happen. So the same example that we have quoted in the last slide, if is this, if you apply this, what will happen, you will get this part. This is implicit, and most of the people will understand this part. So you need to remember all the statements, like you have to remove that part and you have to reduce the scope of this, and then you need to use the standardization of the variables. So this is also we have discussed yesterday, like don't use the same variable like x for two statements. This is a different statement, this is a different statement, it was combined, but it is better to use an x here, it is a better to use a y here. That is what we call it as standardization of variables, so that each quantifier will have or will bind to a unique variable. That's what people are telling. So you need to remember, because many times how do you convert your first order logic into class form, they are asking. So this nomenclature you have to follow and explain what exactly is this. So this is also we have seen moving all the quantifiers to LHS. I said the same thing. They said like move all the quantifiers to the left without changing the relative order. So whatever quantifiers you have here, you keep all of them to the left of the path. The reason is at any point, like in the next step we will remove existential quantifier, the next step we will remove for all quantifier also. So there is no need that you have to consider the quantifiers for your inference mechanism. So for inference, because x will have some value at some point of time, this value is already fixed as Caesar, so x can be some point of time as a Marcus. So because we cannot we can generalize the knowledge, but when you take a decision, it has to be specific decision. So whatever for all existential, all this will be removed. So the next slide will find out how do you remove this existential quantifier by using some value. This is what it is. So after yesterday class, if you just open the textbook, you can understand all this nomenclature and even better understanding of the examples you can have, because textbooks, four textbooks are shared, and four textbooks have four different examples. So eliminate existential quantifiers. This is what we have said, and this is what the earlier statement is. Just remove this existential quantifier, and what is that you do is you can have an instance of x instance. At this moment you are assuming it as s1, or if you see this z is a particular z is what we call it as, this is existential quantifier. So you said the output of this function is a specific value, or if you don't want to use this, you can use z1. So what is the understanding of the fifth rule is, every time when you have an existential quantifier, you can remove this existential quantifier by using a specific value. Whatever value, see if I say it is x, you can use x1. x1 is an instance at that moment. So anyway, the interest of inference mechanism is whatever values that you have, that will change with respect to the question that was asked. So Marcus was loyal to Caesar? So they are talking about only two persons. So obviously you can, even though your knowledge is general, your question is very specific. So obviously all these values can be removed. So you have a sixth rule saying that for all can be removed. So obviously this is what it is. Drop all the prefixes. Indirectly, what is that they are trying to do is, this universal quantifiers can be removed straight away. All these three that are coming from the last 5 steps can be removed. So obviously you can remove and go to the next procedure. So we have discussed this. Convert the matrix into a conjunction of disjuncts. So that what will happen if you have an expression like this, you can apply this rule to have this two. This is a statement 1, and this is a statement 1. This is what the nomenclature that you have in your textbooks. So in the next slides, what that we do is have this as a single statement. This 1 can be taken as a statement, 2 can be taken as a statement. But if you understand, in the 1 they have used x, in the 2 also they have used x. So the last slide says you generalize the value, you take x here, in the second you take y. This is what we have studied. So convert the matrix into a conjunction of disjuncts. This is what yesterday also we have seen, and you just try to apply here the rule. So when you wish to apply, this is what the rules are, and this is what the outcomes are. So next slide says, when you have something in the terms of A and B, you take A as a separate statement and B as a separate statement. This is what it is. Create a separate class for each conjunct. Take this as a separate statement. Take this as a separate statement. This is statement 1. This is statement 2. So after that, there is no need that you have to write other class like standardize the variables. Standardization of the variables is already there in your second slide. Second slide says if you have x here, you must have y here. This is what the standardization says. So in your textbook, they said if xx was there here and x was there, it is better to go for x here and this is y here. That is what they said in the ninth statement. This is already explicit. Standardize the apart variables because you have taken this as two statements. So two statements where this statement has to represent x, this statement has to represent y. This is ninth rule is implicit and this is a part of your third rule itself. So there is no need that you have to write this ninth rule again. So this is what your textbook says. So the textbook nomenclature is very important when you are asked a theory question or when you ask the procedure to convert first order logic into this class form. So this is what the textbook nomenclature says. So it's very simple and you need to remember, like you need to eliminate this implication, you need to reduce the scope of not, you need to keep every statement with a variable so that we can easily substitute the values at some point of time in the terms of values, in the terms of names or values, whatever it may be. So all the quantifiers can be moved without changing the order. If you change the order also, there is nothing will happen because all this can be removed at some point of time. You change, you replace the existential quantifier with a corresponding value. While people are talking about roller, you can replace that roller value with Caesar because Caesar is the only roller that was discussed in the paragraph. So, or you can talk about without replacing it to Caesar, you can say C1. That C1 can be Caesar or C1 can be somebody. So if C1 is Caesar, you can answer. If C1 is not Caesar or somebody, then there is no need that you have to answer because the name of the ruler was not given and it is a specific ruler that people are mentioning. So obviously you cannot answer that query. That's what you can say at this moment. So sixth, you have to drop all the prefixes. The meaning is whatever existential quantifiers are there, whatever universal quantifiers are there, you can remove them straight away. And this is what we have seen. This is an important rule compared to all the 8 rules that we have discussed. The 7th rule is very important. The meaning is once you apply this particular rule, you have something called as a conjunct of disjuncts. So you will have something statements like this. So when you have a statement like this, you can take A as a different statement, B as a different statement, C as a different statement, and then you can represent A, B, C separately. And if you have common clause names with respect to x's here, you can remove them. It's what you said, standardize the apart variables. This is what we have seen in the last class, and this is where you need to have some clarity. So I said the agenda of the class is to know about what exactly the resolution procedure. I felt after taking this 2 to 3 classes for resolution, I felt that the first 2 steps are clear. So I am going to the third step. How do you apply this resolution mechanism? By using a very simple example, so that we will come back and apply it to a bigger example with 10 statements. So here, see here, I have taken 4 statements, and you need to prove something called as R. Just somebody tell me whether from these 4 statements can you get this R or not? From these 4 statements, can you get something called as R from these 4 statements? Can somebody just unmute yourself and just answer this query? Can you get R from these 4 statements? 320, okay. Can you get R from these 4 statements? If you have something called as P here, from these statements, if you expand this, you will get negation of P. R negation of Q, R capital R. If you still explore this, negation of S and negation of T, VQ. Can somebody tell me, can you get this value called as R from this 4 statements? Still people are not answering. Okay. This is P. This is negation of P. B negation of Q, B R. From this you will get negation of S, VQ. And from this you get negation of T, VQ. And there is something called as T. So this is what the final knowledge is. From this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 statements, can you get R? See, I could find out when you are not able to answer this query, the meaning is you are not practicing. So listening to the class is very important. Practicing is very important. So from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, can you say that you can get R? Is it possible to get a R? So just we'll try then. So if I join both of them, first 2 statements, I can get something called as negation of Q, VR. If I join these 2 statements, Q and Q will go, and I will get R, V negation of T. See, it is very implicit. See, if you combine both of them, I can get R. Just a minute, I will see how many are there, then we'll proceed. So, is this a valid inference? Can somebody tell me now? From these 4 statements, can you get R? Can somebody unmute and just answer this query?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So yes means we'll just proceed. So what does your resolution algorithm will tell you is, so can somebody tell me whether these statements are in the class form or not? See, if you class form and see, if you wish to apply a resolution procedure, you need to ensure that all these statements must be in class form. Class form is a form where we should not have any implications. Is it right? So 2 is not in a class form. 3 is not in a class form. So what is that I have to do is P, the first statement is in a class form, so I have to remove this what is that implication. So that is the reason I have to use negation of P, V negation of Q, V R. So my sincere request is you need to open your textbooks and practice some problems. Whether the problems can be from internet or in textbook, you need some practice so that later classes you need to understand, because once it is better to understand the classes or the concept when we are taking the class itself. I know people are capable of learning on their own, but that is better. It will take less time to understand. So this is not in a class form. this is in a class form because there is no implication, and the scope of not is also minimized. So obviously that is in a class form, and P is already in a class form. So the third statement is not in a class form. That is the reason I have to apply negation of S and negation of T VQ. So as per the rule that we have discussed earlier, like just see this rule, if you have something like this, you need to do this, you need to apply this and take this as a simple statement, take this as a statement. This is what the rule says. So I'm applying the same rule here. Here I'm applying this R now. See, I'm just doing this negation of S RQ. You have an AND here, and this is negation of T R Q. So the rule says, if you just remember the rule here, the rule says you can have this, and after that you can have this as a statement 1 and this as a statement 2. The same here. So I can take this as a statement negation of S VQ, and I can take it as other statement negation of T. Is it right? Whatever I am doing is right? Whatever I have done is
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yes. Yes.
And yes, sir.
And is removed because this can be taken as a statement 1. This can be taken as a statement 2. This is what the rule is.
Yes,
So
sir.
how many statements are there now is P is a statement number 1. This is statement number 2. From this you got a statement 3. From this you have a statement 4. T was already given as a statement 5. So what does your resolution algorithm will do is it will start having this resolution. See, you need to prove something called as R. So what is that the resolution algorithm will take is they take negation of R and they say this is your sixth statement. From these 6 statements, I have to get something called as a nil, or you need to get an empty operand or empty set. The meaning is whatever you take, like negation of R is wrong, so hence your R is proved, something like that will do. So resolution, many textbooks if you refer, they call it as a resolution with refutation. Like whatever I wish to prove, this is I need to prove, I take the negation of this and I will add as a statement. From this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you have to get a something called as null set. In some textbooks it is called as a nil or something like that, null or something like that. So once you get the null set, the meaning is whatever the assumption that you take is wrong, so negation of R is wrong, so R is proved. This is what the story is. Again, I'm repeating the same thing. Many times when people talk about resolution, they say resolution with refutation. Whatever you need to prove, you have to take it as negation, then add it to the premises that were given, and at some point of time when you are combining the statements, what is that you will get is you will get something called as null. Once you say that is null, the meaning is negation of R is wrong, so R is proved. This is how it has to be done. The same thing we have to do for this Marcus and Caesar problem. So I'm just trying to have this statements are 328. Okay. So I will just try to show you the next slide, which will give you a better picture now, because this is typed. Now this is what it is. So what is that I have done in the earlier slide is I have converted this knowledge into a class form. This is a class form. The same thing that is there here. This is a class form now. P is in a class form. This 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 is in a class form. Since we need to prove R, I have to add this. This is what your resolution algorithm says. So you have how many statements? This is statement 1, this is statement 2, this is statement 3, this is statement 4, this is statement 5, this is statement 6. So 6 statements are there. Sixth statement is a statement that we have added. And you need to understand here, the first step you need to do in resolution is convert the statements into first order logic. All these are not first order logic statements. This example I have taken to explain what exactly the resolution procedure is. So all the statements are not in a class form. So for getting the statements into class form, we have 9 rules. So in this 9 rules, we have applied the rule number 1 and we have applied the rule number 6, and we got all these statements in the class form. Once you get the class form, there is every chance that you can apply a resolution mechanism. So when you wish to apply a resolution mechanism or algorithm for set of statements, that statements must be in a class form. This is what the story is. So how do you get this negation R? I said if you combine all the statements, you need to get a something value called as empty set. We call that as null set. Once you get this null value, the meaning is your negation of R is wrong. So whatever the inference that you make, R is right. So now whenever you wish to combine the statements, you need to combine in such a way that you need to have contradictory statements in this. See here, if you combine 2 and 6, statement 2 and 6, what is the outcome? Here negation of P was there, negation of Q was there, R was there, and negation of R was there. So R and negation of R will go, and you will get something called as negation of P, V, and negation of Q. I'm just seeing that there is a negation and a positive term here. So if I combine this with statement 1, statement 1 is P, so this P and this negation of P goes, and you will get negation of Q. So I need a positive Q. From the positive Q can be there in third statement or fourth statement. You can take any statement. If I take just for a simple reason, I am taking 4. From 4 I get negation of T. If I take negation of T and T was there in 5, I will get a something called as a T. 5 is T and this is negation of T. I will get an empty set or null. So once you get this empty set, the meaning is whatever you have taken, this is wrong. Negation of R is wrong. Just a minute, I will find out this. Yes, this is wrong. So R is proved. This is whatever representation that I have done is called as resolution algorithm. The output of resolution algorithm will be null or an empty set. It depends. At this moment I have taken this 4 and at some point of time I have taken this 5. I have not used this term 3 for various reasons. So while you infer something, there is no need that you have to consider the entire knowledge. And while you infer something, you can consider the knowledge for more than one time. See, this is a statement called as 2. This 2 can be used more than one time. There is no problem. But the resolution algorithm will work like this. You unite 2 operands, get a resultant 1. Then you unite this with 1. You get something. You unite with 4. You get something. You unite with 5. Finally, you get this null. Once you get this null, the meaning is whatever you have taken is wrong. So for a better understanding, the next slide, whatever that I have done, it will be replicated here in the next slide. See here, this is what it is. This is what your resolution algorithm says. From this 2, you have a negation of R here, R here. So this 2 will go and you will get this part. Just a minute, I will just erase this part. So from this you have something called as P. From this you have our negation of P. You will get something called as negation of Q. From this, since it is there, so Q, a negation of Q will go, and you will get negation of T here. From T and negation of T, you get a nil. The meaning is whatever you took or whatever you have added is wrong. So R is proved. So my outcome of this entire lecture is very simple. How does your result? See, my outcome of this lecture is this part. How does your resolution algorithm will work? Is only outcome of this particular presentation. So this is how your resolution algorithm will look. It will take two statements and you get a output statement. Whenever you are outputting, you are doing some R-ing. This is R, negation of R, it will go because it is all every time it is true. And negation of P and P it is going, and you are getting a resultant value as a negation of Q, and this it is going. You are getting a negation of T, and T is already there, that was given, so you will get a null value. So you need to understand the resolution algorithm will start with this part, adding this value that has to be added, and then we proceed step by step until unless empty set is found or null is found. This is what the discussion that was done. So just I'm trying to see the time. Okay. So now what is that we have to do is we have to apply the resolution algorithm for this problem. So for the problem that we have studied for the last 2 or 3 classes. Now just tell me whether the first statement, like Marcus was a man, does this statement is in a class form? Is this in a class form? See, is this statement is in a class form? Just I will change now. So is this statement is in a class form?
No, sir.
No, what you said is right. So this statement is a atomic statement which does not have any operator. So obviously these two statements are in a class form. The third statement is not in a class form. The reason is you have something called as implication here. So what can I write is for all of x, you can write it as negation of Pompeian of x v r. I said v means I'm just doing it as r x. So can I say this is in class form now? Is this in a class form? Is this statement, whatever I have highlighted, is in a class form?
Yes, sir.
See, does your class form, you said is right, but your answer is partially right. Does your class form will allow for all for existential? Is it necessary in a class form to have this for all and all the things?
No need, sir.
No need. So your class form says you remove this part by using a rule 3. So this is your final outcome. So my emphasis is you convert every statement into class form. This is what we are doing, and most probably since it has reached this time, we will see. This is atomic statement. This is not an atomic statement because it was there with implication. So obviously I have to remove this implication. So obviously I have to use negation of Roman of x r loyal of x comma z R height of x comma is Caesar. So this statement it does not have any for all, and for various reasons it does not have any for all quantifier or any other quantifier. So this statement is in a class form. All Romans were either loyal to Caesar or hated him. So obviously I have missed something that I have to write. In general I have to write for all x here. So I have to write for all x here in the earlier slide, but for all can be removed here, and this can be negation of Roman. This is what as per the rule that we have done. So everyone is loyal to someone. So even though this statement does not have this operators, but this can be removed, something like loyal of x comma y1. I say y1 is an instance at this moment, that y1 can be Caesar at some point of time. Y1 can be Caesar at some point of time. As per this discussion is concerned, every time y1 is your Caesar, because you are only talking about a person that is Caesar. So people only try to assassinate rulers they are not loyal to. Actually, yesterday if I have written this statement, but whenever I write this statement, I have to write for all of x and for all of y, because I have used these terms. So this is also not in a class form, because you have something called as implication here. So it is 340. Okay. See, this is implication here. I have to remove this part. So if I wish to remove this, I have to write something called as negation of people of x and will become R. So negation of ruler of y and will become R. Negation of assassinate x comma y, or you will have something called as negation of loyal x comma y. So straight away I have removed this for all x for all y. So obviously this can be your final class form. So you can apply this resolution algorithm only for this class forms. That is the reason we are doing this. So Marcus tried to assassinate Caesar. There is no particular operator that was used. Particular, all these are instances, though obviously this is in a class form. So hate of Marcus and Caesar. So all these are class forms now. Whatever we have written, we have converted all the statements into class forms. Then we try to apply this resolution algorithm for this. So we'll do this tomorrow, because it's already crossed 340. So I stop here taking the attendance. So tomorrow we'll have the same class in the morning itself at 9 o'clock. So thank you very much. If you have any doubts, please unmute yourself, or you can just leave, because it's already 340 and I think in the morning onwards you are having various classes. I think my system is also struck. Okay.